lecture. If you guys could mute, if you guys could just mute, just so we can keep it flowing a little bit more smoothly. Today's lecture is the broken triangle. Now, context for this lecture was written a couple years ago, I guess now, a year and a half or so ago. I was really kind of in a bad headspace. I had called Bro. Bro, I remember all those conversations we were having a while back, and I just decided to write this book real quick. And I know that sounds crazy or crass, but I did it. And my buddy Charles Companion Smith edited it, and it was just based on my triangle was broken. So that's just kind of where we were at in the context of what was going through, and I'm not gonna get into specifics, but obviously I came out of it on the other side. And today, this broken triangle lecture will just break down the three houses in the Royal Select Master, give us a general overview, and again we'll talk about varying levels of feathercrafts and some other things, and then as always we'll give you biblical context. Now, the Royal Master degree, right? This degree itself is divided into two sections. One, it comes from 1 Kings 7, 48 through 50, the King James Version, 48, and verse 48, King Solomon also made all the furnishings that were in the Lord's temple. Now, in addition to making all of those furnishings in the Lord's temple, what were the furnishings? They were things like the golden altar, the golden table, on which the bread of the presence. And in verse 49, it states that the lampshades were pure gold, 5 on the right and then 5 on the left. And in front of the inner sanctuary, the gold floor workings and the lamps and tongues were placed very evenly. But then in verse 50, it tells us that the pure gold basins, wick stemmers, sprinkle bowls, dishes, censers, and the gold sockets for the door in the innermost room, most holy place, and the doors remain in the hall of the temple. Everything was pure gold, is the gist of this right here in King Solomon's temple. And again, this can be displayed and very vividly displayed in 1 Kings 7, 48 through 50. If you look at that, that's a context for the degree. Now, let's look at some of the symbolic aspects of this degree. Now, in the first section again, as we think about the first section of this degree, it tells of Hiram Abiff at his high level of activity during the construction of the temple. Now, Hiram obviously was very industrious during the construction of the temple, very pivotal. But during the Royal Master's degree, is symbolized as a fellowcraft in search of further light and mystery, because you'll see that in a second. As you have heard many times before, and the question is so rhetorical, what do you most desire? Your inherent answer is always, always, always more light. Now, the candidate in this degree is still dressed as a fellowcraft. I'm sorry, brother, grab those guys coming in for me, please. The candidate's degree, again, still dressed as a fellowcraft. Now, we go right back to the 4th degree in the Royal Arts. Candidate's dressed as a fellowcraft. And you'll see why at the end of the presentation. It's the 4th degree in the Mark Master degree, as depiction of, we're saying that Hiram is still alive at this point. Now, we get introduced to Adoniram. Adoniram was a chief fellowcraft, but also he was a tax collector back in the day for King Solomon's father, King David. And this is actually depicted in the Bible. But again, he was ultimately named the chief fellowcraft. So as we think about that during this degree, we were introduced to a pivotal figure, that being the aforementioned Adoniram, a name which is important in the Royal Select Masonry, but Scottish Rite as well. Right? He is very prominent in Scottish Rite Masonry as well. History informs us that Adoniram is directly linked to the legend of Hiram Abiff, and rumor states that he was the brother-in-law of Grandmaster Hiram Abiff. Now we think about the name Adoniram. What is that name Adoniram? It takes on an important position in Masonry, and although the period of time which he appears is confined to the period when King Solomon's temple was constructed, Adoniram was the son of Abda, who was also named Obadiah. And the name Adoniram in Hebrew means my Lord exalted. The duties of Adoniram can be recanted and recalled in 2 Samuel 20 and 24, also in 1 Kings 4 and 6, 5, and 13 through 14, also in 1 Kings 12 through 8. Now, I went through those verses fast, but just like any time, I'll send this out when we're done. You could definitely look in the reader's notes and get all the context. Okay. Now, Adoniram, who is again considered the chief fellowcraft for one of the, yes, 3 levels of fellowcrafts. Now we're going to stop here. What were the 3 levels of fellowcrafts? Anybody come off mute and tell me. If we think about historically from Lebanon all the way to King Solomon's temple, what were the 3 levels of fellowcrafts? And did you know that there was 3 levels of fellowcrafts? So this little piece is interactive. Who can tell me what were the 3 levels of fellowcrafts?
That's the Tubal Cain being the first one, sir.
Tubal Cain, yes, sir. Then Hiram Abish, right? And then Adoniram being the last chief fellowcraft. A lot of people don't understand it, but because we forget about Tubal Cain. We also realize that password. So we look at that Tubal Cain being pivotal too, but it was also the very first level of fellowcrafts because he hewed those stones in Lebanon, floated them on in the Sea of Joppa, right? And then they fit perfectly. So we think about that. We forget about the work that was done there. But again, be remiss if I didn't mention, I'll remind you that the wood cut in Lebanon was sent to King Solomon, where the temple would stand. The timbers had been floated again on the Sea of Joppa. Later, our travels in the east as fellowcrafts, we discovered the body of Grandmaster Hiram Abish, who had been buried in the rubbish of the temple. The Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end, the first and the last. The Bible tells us that, right? The beginning and the end, the first and the last. Alpha and Omega is a Greek alphabet, of course. If you're a Greek in a Greek fraternity, you understand this quite well. It's indicative of the first and the last, beginning of the end, and the final moments of this degree, right? The candidate is brought to the altar and given his obligation, signs, words, and grips of the royal master. But in the New Testament, Alpha is a title which applied to Christ, John's passage from Revelations as it read during the circumambulation, as the candidate was circumambulating around the body, right? The symbolism of this was a divine mind. During that circumambulation, as we talked about earlier in the Excellent Master's degree, there was that humility, that spiritual being that the monks were circumambulating. So it was a divine mind, as in the beginning of the firstborn of all creations. Omega to the Alpha is juxtaposed, meaning and means that the last or the end, as expressed in the perfect. Now, as we roll in the Select Master's degree, I'm going to tell you that if you do not do this degree in its entirety, you shortchange the candidate. The candidate will never understand symbolic masonry, nor will he understand Royal Select Masonry, cryptic masonry, if you do not go through this degree in its entirety. You do the candidate a disservice. Now, the Select Master degree itself is a second degree in the cryptic rite masonry, and personally one of my favorites. And it's 9th degree as conferred in the council. Remember again, 9x3. All right. In the Council of Royal Select Masters. This degree was originally referred to as the Masons of 27. A degree as listed in the original ritual of Stephen Moran. Now, let me stop right there. If you don't know who Stephen Moran was and you're in the Scottish Rite, then you might want to go back and brush up on the history of the Scottish Rite. Stephen Moran brought the degrees over from Scotland and Ireland to the United States by way of Jamaica and the Dominican Republic. So I digress. That Stephen Moran brought the Scotland from the original 25 Scottish Rite degrees, and this was in 1762. History tells us that the historical look at this degree is based on a deposit of important treasures of secrets, which history again informs us was manufactured by Hiram Abish, right? Well, now let's think about following simple. If we think about the vertical arches, we often forget or don't understand the horizontal arches, that being the King Solomon's most retired apartment. The meeting place was a secret vault located in the temple, or better known as the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Holy of Holies. Now, we say that in the lodge, in the symbolic lodge, but you ask 99% of the Masons, what is the Sanctum Sanctorum? They have no idea. It's where the Master Mason's degree was conferred. It is the most holy place. It was the most holy place in King Solomon's temple. Both in this degree and the Royal Arts degree are connected together. They're joined. You need both degrees in order to gain full understanding of the Royal Arts study, because it kind of goes back and forth, hence the cryptic look, so to speak. This degree was a secret, even though the craft was only conferred in the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Holy of Holies. In other words, the select masters were workmen of the temple who had been doing secret work to excavate these caverns. And in the next slide, we're going to meet King Solomon's most revered friend, who the candidate represents in this degree, and he was dealt with, as you're well informed. Zabud, again, King Solomon's most revered friend. And again, Zabud is also prominent in Scottish Rite Masonry, but in Scottish Rite Masonry, he is coined as Jobert. Different topic for a different day. As this degree opens up, right, introduce a character by the name of Zabud. Zabud is mentioned in 1 Kings 4 and 5. So again, we always like to give context biblically so that you can go back and look up these characters. Where were they biblically stated? Because if we're just telling you something, we don't want to just tell you something out of context. In context biblically, these are biblical characters, not Masonic characters. Zabud was King Solomon's most revered and trusted friend. He was his BFF, if you want to use those terms, right? He was the son of a prophet named Nathan, who was a chief advisor or minister to King Solomon. The biblical narrative states that through the strategy of David, Nathan, and Bathsheba and Solomon came the throne of Israel. Now, as we dive into the Super Excellent Master's degree, this degree is the last degree in Cryptic Rite Masonry. Now, just a quick deviation here. Cryptic Rite Masonry, before, I think it was Brom, correct me if I'm wrong, was like 08, 07, 08, and I think 09 they made it official. The Cryptic Rite degrees used to be part of the Knights Templar degree. That was one long degree. So instead of 3, it was 6. And it started at the 8th degree. So there's some history there too as well. But let me back up a little bit and digress. This degree is the last degree of the Cryptic Rite and is referred to as the Super Excellent Master's degree. This is the particular degree and has been riddled with a bunch of different controversies due to its outcome and the way it was derived. All right, due to both the setting, also in addition to the aforementioned, and the explanation, which, by the way, has nothing to do with the vault tradition. Instead, this degree was actually created as an honorary degree. So just like the past master's degree was created as an honorary degree to honor Masons, so was this degree, the Super Excellent Master. Now, as we conclude again with this degree, it's an enlargement part of the ceremonies. It really enriches and enhances the ceremonies as regards, again, the inference and the reference is Royal Arch Masonry, which refers to King Solomon's Temple. Now, as we think chronologically, this degree takes place between the Most Excellent Master degree and the Royal Arch degrees. This was exclusively to focus on the destruction of the first temple. The legend of the degree and centered on the circumstances that occurred on the last day of the siege of Jerusalem by Nebuchadnezzar, the king of the Chaldean army. Before we go to the last slide, let me back up and give you this context. In the Select Master's degree, during the historical account, why was Zabud so important? Remember, the Grand Steward fell asleep. The candidate represents Zabud. Zabud thought, King Solomon kept telling him, be patient, friend Zabud. The time will come when the vault will be left open for your reception. Then you can receive the Master Mason's degree. Right? Zabud got impatient. Not impatient, he was just like any of us. We were just waiting anxiously. So he came one night to talk to King Solomon about something totally different, and he saw the door open. He went in and he was dealt with, as you well know, as Royal Select Masters. And then again, as we conclude, we see the chronological layout of the degrees. And while it's so important, albeit cryptic, it made sense as we go through. And we talk about the Sanctum Sanctorum and the Holy of Holies, where King Solomon's friend was, Select Master after the Marked Master degree. Again, hence why you're dressed as a fellow craft. Royal Master, the first section, because there's 2 sections, and then the Master Mason's degree, so on and so forth. So this is some of the chronological order of Masonry, because what we don't have here is implementing the Scottish Rite degrees. So, gentlemen, that ends the introduction. Again, I'll send this out so everybody can digest it and have it at your leisure and give it your own lectures at your councils. But let's just open it up like we always do for dialogue, thoughts on the lecture. I know y'all wasn't that wild where y'all can't unmute.
Can I say something, big bro?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. That once again, wonderful lecture. I did not know about the three levels of the fellow craft. That was one of those things to where once again I'm taking my notes, and once again that was kind of good. I like the way you implemented those things in about those three men, TC, Hiram Abiff, and Adoniram. I liked it that. I liked that the three levels, and I like the way you explained, gave the definition of Adoniram, his name. I like that what his name actually really means. I like that. Once again, wonderful lecture. Thank you for that.
Appreciate it. Yeah, we always, I just think it's important for us as York Rite Masons to always pivot. We have to pivot back to the symbolic lives, and we have to show the connection because there's an intimate connection. And it's necessary that you understand. That's why they call York Rite degrees the explanatory side of Masonry. So that's why we look at it, remember, linearly, right? We never look at it any other way. We look at it linearly that they're connected to. Who else? I appreciate you, bro.
Mason. Uh, Royal Select, one of the reasons why it's my most favorite, because it actually explained the hour of confusion when we got our third degree. So if we were to talk to our brethren in the Blue House and, persuade them and help them further their journey, I believe one of the better talking points is if you truly want to understand the drama of the third degree, then Royal Select is voice again. I respectfully you'll fall back to you, sir.
Appreciate it. And again, as a note, when we talk about the vertical arches and apartments and then the horizontal, it is key to note that those two arches intersected to form a cross. Now, as we think about the children of Israel, as they traveled to the desert, they traveled in the form of a cross. So everything, the point here is that everything was biblically stated and very perfectly placed and planned. And King Solomon's temple was built with just a divine outlook on what needed to be done. He got the blessings. So who else? Would just love to hear just general feedback, even if it's not about the lecture, just general feedback of what we're doing here. The goal is for this, to obviously we put it on YouTube. We want it to just be global. We want brothers that are overseas that are serving that can still get light in masonry while they're deployed. So this is a intuitive, deep thinking, a deep thought for podcast, if you will. So who else?
Dr. Randall,
Sir.
I appreciate these lectures. I've not missed some, but you've sent them to me, and I've sat out on the side there with a cigar and listened to them, and to see some of the little teeny things you miss or forget over the years. Going basically, because you see them when you get your degree, you hear them when you get your degree, but a lot of years go by and you don't get, and those things that you get when you go into the degrees, you remember some of it, but mostly just trying to survive the degree.
Yeah.
So when you get done with it, the things you should have remembered, you don't, and it never comes up again until you talk with someone and it comes up, or you're in this forum right here, and it reacclimates you to just how beautiful the York Rite side is.
Yeah, it does. I agree. I think Brum can tell you, he got us interested in this stuff in 2008. And then from there, that curiosity just peaked, man. It took off. Like it went somewhere crazy. It kind of was in a lull for a while because I was active duty. I didn't have the time, but I love the York Rite. I always have. It just gives me that juice, right? It gives me that understanding of what masonry really is at its core. Because as traditional masons, they build brick by brick, as a Sovereign Grand Commander would say. In order to build brick by brick, you need to know what you're doing, have the right tools, right measurements. And it's always said, measure twice, cut once. I think that's what a Deputy Grand Master always says. So again, Mr. House, I'd love to hear from you as you want to know our esteemed guest.
Brother Ryan, I'm his brother.
Hold on, Mr. House.
Hey,
Yeah,
just happy for you.
4.5. Hold on, I got you. Let me just hear from Mr. House first.
Okay, go ahead.
But I appreciate you being on. I do. I really do. There you go, sir. You're unmuted.
Dr. Ronald, I just want to, again, thank you for the opportunity to be on the call. I invited a few people I see unfortunately, I think due to the time lag on the East Coast, maybe they're still on they're on mid time, but or they're on CP time, whatever it might be. But I truly appreciate the information. As I told you before, I've been in the organization for a long time, and one of the issues that I have is that we have gotten extremely lax in the way we do our work. Over the years, I have just continued to see less and less emphasis put on the effectiveness of slide presentations, PowerPoint presentation, visual assistance to be more impactful to candidates as they come through the degrees. We have gotten to a point that we think that we're so good that all we need to do is use our oratorical skills, and we fail to notice that the brothers are half asleep halfway through your lecture. So again, I truly appreciate the visuals that you put forth. I do want to put this out to see if there's anybody on this call that might possibly have something available. We just actually did a one-day class here in Ohio. And one of the issues that I continue to look for but have yet been able to find is slides or PowerPoint presentations that have African-American individuals within the slides.
I know a guy on here that can hook you up.
Okay, well,
It's a guy on here. I'm going to put y'all two in touch. Matter of fact, brother, go ahead.
I appreciate that because it's always good when you see yourself. When you see someone else, it's a little less impactful. So yes, I would be extremely appreciative if you could hook me up with that, brother, because I want to be able to show who we are and what we do. I don't want to show who they are and what they did.
Yeah.
So yes,
you can put your number in the chat, sir. Give me, and then Burley can grab it and you guys can talk. But yeah, very agreed.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, but I truly appreciate the information. It's very enlightening, and after a while, some of this stuff you begin to start losing. That it's always great to come back home, and kind of get re-educated on some of the things that have slipped away, bring you back up to date, and keep you on point. So thank you so much for your time and energy and effort.
Oh yeah, no problem. My pleasure. My pleasure. We love doing it. We love kind of keeping us going. Okay, 4.5, Mr. Howe. What's up, sir? We got you.
I'm just thankful for y'all letting me come into, well, even though I've been in masonry for a little bit, I'm kind of new to all the knowledge. And I'm happy to get the light every time. That's why I call you specifically, like, hey, bro, I need the knowledge. Hey, can I get in? Because I want to know, because I learned so much from coming through your session about 3, 5, 7, 9. Like, I learned a lot. You know what I mean? So I'm very grateful, and I thank you for teaching us and improve my skills in masonry. So I just want to thank you for that, man. And I'm happy to have you be my big brother from Surfside. You know what I mean? And thank you, my brother.
For life, man. And again, this is, so if you guys didn't know, this was a testament. Like Brother and I talked, we did this essentially to help brothers like Quentin Howe and other brothers that are not in these houses, give them further light in masonry. But it will also further educate us in our plight in the houses that we're currently in. So it's twofold. It's really, dare I say, a membership opportunity, because you don't know what you don't know. And we got to educate brothers. But we can educate brothers without giving out passwords, right? The old adage is, well, if they're not in this house, we can't talk about it. No, that's not the case. They can see all this information in the Bible. It just got to be presented in a certain way. So, and again, to Mr. House's point, and I know Burley would agree with me, is these characters are Hebrew characters. You guys know Phoenicians were black. Dare I say, they weren't white. Phoenicians were black. The Hebrews were black. They come from the Hamites. So it is a different view. Burley loves to touch on it. I love when he does it. He kind of gives us that visual, as Graham was saying, of what we look like. Not what they look like, what we look like. And what Kendrick Lamar say, they're not like us. And I'm not going to use that analogy too deep, but we got differences, right? There's distinct differences. But if you look at the genealogy of us as Hebrews coming from the Hamite tribe, it's really broken down, right? I think at a certain point, I'll kind of break that down for us. But who else? Brothers, appreciate you.
Dr. Randall.
What's going on, sir? Mr. Moore?
Could you see me?
I can just see your background. And
but you can't see me.
No,
Yeah,
sir.
I'm trying to figure that out. I don't know what's going on with my phone system. But I'd like to also say I really truly appreciate this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding that you do. I try to tell my companions to get on. We have a group chat, but apparently they don't get on now. King Cyrus Grand Chapter in the state of Virginia, we have our lecture actually in an hour at 7. So your Pacific time, we Eastern time. So I know it's a little different in time zones.
Yes, sir.
But I'm hoping and praying that some of these companions will get up here because, we say knowledge is obtained by degrees. Like the brother said, it's not the fact that we want to get into a color thing, but, Solomon said, don't look upon me because I am black. That is true. A lot of our history have been painted with other colors because of the supremacy side of it. And I know it's not about colors, about the knowledge, but I agree with the brother that we do need to let brothers know because they may not know. Like you just say, the Phoenicians was black, Solomon was of color, and I think that's a good thing that you all are doing, and I hope that this knowledge is spread further and further, and it gets more stronger. I appreciate it, brother. Thank you.
Yeah, when I send this out, and you guys go to YouTube, man, like the channel and subscribe, man, just so we can get this knowledge out. Like I said, I do send the YouTube out once I edit the video. Send the YouTube out so you can definitely share with your companions, just so they can watch it to leisure. And hopefully we grow. We go to 100, 200 on this call. Over 220 people get invited to this call, by the way, every single month. Over 220 people. Keep those emails archived in the group. Because we want to share the knowledge, right? We don't want to just hoard the knowledge. If we know something, we want to share it, right? So that's definitely appreciate you, man. And it was funny. Over the next 6 months, I'll be out in VA 3 times, but just for 1 day spans for some training. So we definitely need to have or something. Yep.
Well, you got my number. Look me up. But what they say, brother, many come, but a few is chosen.
Sir,
many
sir.
come, but few are chosen.
Sir. Yes, sir. Somebody saying something? I mean, again, this is an open forum. This is where we just kind of dialogue, right? We keep a space of an hour. We do the lectures within 20 to 30 minutes so we can have healthy dialogue at the end. The healthy dialogue, to be quite honest, is where you gain most of the knowledge and experience because there's varying levels of experience on this call. Outside of the past grandmasters, current grandmasters, whoever, what have you, there's knowledge on this call, man, and we gain that just by talking. Go ahead, Steve. I ain't heard from you in a while anyway. Missed you. Go ahead.
So grad school started Thursday, so free time is no longer in existence. But I did catch everybody asking questions about black people and in the Bible. So, because I got some reference topics, I got 2 books.
Just send them over. If you got them electronically, send them over.
Can't find these electronically. I've tried. I can't even find one of these on Amazon. So, one of these books is called The Black Presence in the Bible. Actually, they're both called The Black Presence in the Bible.
If you could drop that name in the chat so we can try to,
Yeah, but I definitely got you. But The Black Presence in the Bible and then The Black Biblical Heritage, I'll put these in the chat. But to kind of add on to what we've been talking about, we're in here. We're in this thing called Masonry. Whether or not we want to believe it or not, we're in this thing called Masonry. So definitely, I'll put these books in the chat. One of them is really hard to find. I think it's the second version of The Black Presence in the Bible. But I'll definitely put these in the chat. And I missed the actual lecture part, but, I'll be here.
I'll send it out. Yeah, I'll send
I
it
know
out.
you would.
Yeah, I'll send it out. Yeah, it was a brief overview. Just because you came in a little late, of the Royal Select Masters, the 3 degrees, Royal Master, Select Master, Super Excellent Master. And it was an overview, but it was an overview to break down some stuff to give context. And now, next month, we'll go into the Royal Master degree, so on and so forth, like we did with the Royal Arts. We kind of want to do that to introduce it, break it out in its entirety. And then here in the next, 4 months, we're going to go into the Knights Templars, which should be really interesting. And I'm not going to say anything, but I think we're going to have a future grand lecture at the Knights Templar on this call. My premonition. But, again, man, who else, man? Mr. Moore, we can see you now, by the way. I think you fixed the camera.
I fixed it.
Yeah. You live and in color now. We got you.
All right.
Past Thrice Sloss. Love to hear from you, sir. I ain't talked to you in a while anyway.
Hey, good evening.
Yep. There you go. You was muted, bro.
Good evening.
Keep muting out. I don't know why.
I was saying good evening.
Okay, good evening, sir. Appreciate you. Thanks for coming. The books are Steve put the books in the Bible in the chat too, so you guys go ahead and snatch those up from my avid readers. Mr. Ward, appreciate you getting on.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had a basketball game.
No, it's all good. All good, man. All good. Who else?
I got one. Can you hear me?
Go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Like they say 2024 is the year of the truth. Like I said, when Master Masons come through the third degree, they want to find out the truth and light. How do we get that? We get that by you summed it up today with the Royal and Select. We find that missing piece that was in the third degree here in the cryptic rite. When we try to explain it to young brothers who think I'm a Master Mason and I can stop at this degree because it's the highest degree, how can you ever get the understanding of what that degree is if you don't go further in light and masonry? And I'm so glad we have this series, like you were saying, to explain that to young brothers so they can actually go and seek that information. Having this platform allows us to fill in those gaps where in those meetings they don't have that substance to present to their members. So, like you said, manifesting things, and we did have these conversations, and I'm so proud to see where we've come to this point so we can further propel the York Rite through this platform. I'd rather ask the brother that's on the call to reach out to those brothers who are frustrated because they're not getting the information they're not point them this way. We'll set you guys right. So you can have something to talk about in your meetings so you can, what do they say? We do this so we can know thyself. How can you know thyself when you can't really understand or have a propensity to try to be open to something that you've been trained up until this point? Like they say, I was today years old when I found out this. I'm sure there's quite a bit of people on this call was today years old when they found out about the 3 levels of fellowcraft. If you're not getting the information within your respective bodies, here's a home that you can come to, which we can provide that. And those jurisdictions that's out there that's lacking that training, we are here to provide that assistance for you. Thank you. And like I said, just seeing this come to become manifest is a testament to the cryptic rite, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, there's some stalwarts on this call that made this happen too. And inherently, they don't know that they were pillars. But to Mr. House's point about the PowerPoints, yeah, you're right, man. When we're doing presentations, we can't just rely on our voice anymore. Those days are over. Brothers need visual stimulation to pique their mind. Like, brothers are smart now. They want visual stimulation and mental cues. But those flyers can't be busy because we're gonna lose them too. Right? It just goes, want. So I appreciate you pointing that out. I try to do that intentionally, at least when I do the presentations, and make sure that they're not busy and have some visual stimulation, some animations, stuff like that. So it's important, right? All of those things are key in learning because those things help you recall the information. Let me say it again. Those things help you recall the information. Not only that we give you the information, but these visual stimulation cues help you to recall it. As you're thinking about it, you say, oh, that 9 arches mean this, right? It's almost a simulation type of thing. So again, thank you, sir, for pointing that out. Who else? We still got a little bit of time. We like to have a little dialogue though, but before whoever jumps on, I definitely want to publicly acknowledge Burley, and we've gone back and forth for a few years now, bouncing ideas off each other, trying to come up with ways and means. No pun intended to the ways and means. But anyway, the ways in which we can grow and we can educate brothers, because we just wanted a voice, right? We just wanted a voice. We said, all right, we got a YouTube account. Let's just do this podcast, man. Let's just create a voice. Let's create a platform, like I said, just for brothers if they didn't get on this call, life happens. But you can go back Monday or Tuesday and look at this lecture again, because we sent it out right afterwards. And it is a blessing, man. It is a huge blessing to have a brother like that you can bounce ideas off of, good and bad. When you at your lowest points, they lift you up, and vice versa. So shout out to you, bro, again. I'm going to give you your flowers. I'm going to keep you your flowers. Roses all the time, big dog.
There's brothers out there that would sprinkle throughout, the world that have that same, same feeling about themselves. These elders brothers, like I said, there's one thing that KRS-One put out. I can't quote it for sure, but search out there about KRS-One quoting the elders leading the youth and vice versa. It's true to this day. Without their advanced knowledge, we can't become smart. With our advanced technology, they can't become smart. This is what Masonry in its basic sense is. We need the elders' wisdom with the technology of the youth. You put them together. How beautiful is that?
That's crazy, man. Think about history, brothers. History is his story. Think about that. History is his story. If you don't know where you came from, how the hell are you going to know where you're going? You know what I'm saying? You can't go forward unless you've been backwards. You got to start. You got to start backwards. For example, let's think about what we forget about as master masons. We forget about the first freaking lesson in masonry. You took off your what? Your left shoe. It wasn't a sign of humiliation. It was a sign of humility. Because historically, and I got you, Steve, in a second, historically, the left side of man was the weaker side of man. So taking off your left shoe was to give your vulnerability. You learned humility. But as we increase in degrees and knowledge and understanding of masonry, we forget. We lose that sense of humility. And then that's where we go wrong. Go ahead, Steve.
He's on mute.
I don't know why we can't hear him, but you're not on mute.
I want to tap in. This is what you said. Like, just lost my train of thought. Go ahead.
Steve, try it now. See what happens.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, bro.
Okay. Couple of things. I recently gave a lecture, actually, this past week about something in the first degree. You'd be surprised how many people were like, man, I hadn't thought about that in years. I'm going to go back and read my ritual. And that goes to the point that we're talking about. We don't really remember. Like, we get all these degrees and we focus on this other stuff. But at the very core of masonry, you should be with well-informed brothers who are willing to impart the knowledge that they received. And you should be willing to share that what you were given. And masonry at its core is the dialogue and fellowship to be able to understand viewpoints and be able to not necessarily agree, but meet on the level about those viewpoints. And the second thing is, I once heard a brother from Nova Scotia say, we don't practice Freemasonry for our grandparents, we practice it for our grandchildren. And that's one thing I think that we forget is that, because we just had York Rice session here. And of course, Othello Burton was here, and he brought one of y'all past grandmasters, past grand priests, and past grand thrice illustrious masters. Actually, I think he was the first past grand priest in the jurisdiction of California. He just moved to Louisiana. I cannot remember his name, but he was just here in Arkansas.
Tyner.
Tyner.
Yeah,
Tyner was just here this past weekend. But it goes to say, like, we practice Freemasonry for those who come after us. So what are we leaving them?
Right.
What are we giving them to build on? Because if our foundation isn't solid, then what are they going to build on? They don't really have a foundation to speak of, because we're literally just giving you degrees, aprons, collars, but no information. Everybody got an apron. Them easy to put on. Everybody wants to.
Man, don't get me started. But I hear you. I do. I hear you. As they say in the military, leave me Charlie. I hear you loud and clear, man. And it's true. We just want titles, but we forget. We forget the most essential piece of masonry. And let's look at it numerically. Let's look at it numerically. You can't get degree 33 without getting degree 1. It's impossible. You can't go from 0 to 33. So you have to climb that ladder, learn those levels, right? And I'm glad my brother from another mother, Garland, jumped on here. He's the grand lecturer for Hawaii, by the way, for the Symbolic Lodge. He also was one of the ones and pioneers that I bounce ideas off of, and we've had these conversations over and over again about how masonry has gone so awry and how we don't teach masonry anymore. We're teaching rote memorization, as I've said many a times. We're not teaching masonry. We're just teaching brothers how to memorize information and go on to the next degree. But we forget the essence of masonry. These are things that you're supposed to be living your life by, because you take a charge after each degree. You take a charge, and those charges give you specific instructions. A charge was your commitment, your obligation to that person and to that fraternity that's given it. And then we violate the charge each time by just memorizing information. I tell brothers the most important book you can have in masonry is a dictionary and a Bible, of course.
And the Bible.
Because these characters, again, are not Masonic characters, they are biblical characters. Go back and look at their heritage and their lineage, and their ethnicity is important. We forget about that stuff. That stuff makes us who we are today. Without them, there's no us. So, again, who else? Brothers, appreciate it. Love this dialogue. It just gets the juices flowing.
Dr. Randall, this is Brother Quinn.
What's going on, man?
Not a lot. I just want to touch on something that Brother Burley had passed. And what I started telling the brothers in the lodge was about the Dunning-Kruger effect. And that happens when the person's lack of knowledge and skill in a certain area causes them to overestimate their own competency. And it's not the younger brothers in the Blue Lodge. It's also the older brothers as well. They are well versed in the Blue Lodge, and they don't understand how much they don't know about masonry because they don't seek to get that knowledge from the other degrees. So that's what I keep telling the brothers, to encourage them to go to the other houses, and then they'll realize how much they don't know about masonry, and it'll continue for them to learn. I just wanted to share that. Thanks, Doctor.
I appreciate it, man. You don't know what you don't know. It doesn't matter what age you are. You just don't know what you don't know. But you got to be, again, what's the first lesson of masonry? Humble enough to learn. That's the key. The humility is what kind of clouds our judgment, our lack thereof, and it just clouds our judgment. And so, God, I love it. Real quick, Steve, Mr. God, I'd love to hear from you, big bro. Here you go. Here you go in the chat, wilding out. Okay, go ahead, Steve.
Dr.
Oh,
Randall,
go ahead.
hey, greetings and salutations, companions, brothers. It is truly an honor to be in your midst. Let me first say greetings and aloha from Hawaii. I'm only here as an inspiration to my brother because I know Dr. Randall will always continue to bring Masonic light in whatever he do. I really appreciate the opportunity to just sit here and embark on this knowledge. And, one thing is we can't always rely on new Master Masons or even young Master Masons, companions, and so forth to understand the information unless we as experienced go out and give it to them. Sometimes they don't know what to ask or even how to ask the questions. So as we are experienced Master Masons, companions, illustrious, Sir Knights, and even Grand Inspector Generals and Sovereign Grands, we have to be able to go out there and give them that information and tell that young Master Mason, hey, sit right here and let's have a conversation. Sometimes it takes for us to embark on that conversation. So I really appreciate the opportunity to sit here, and I apologize for being late as I didn't realize the time as I was watching the football game.
All good, man. Yeah, we'll send it out afterwards. You get a chance to go back and look at what you missed. Go ahead, Steve. I know you have some.
It kind of goes with what you said, but how often have we done ourselves a disservice by teaching incorrect things in Freemasonry? We teach that one right is better than the other right, or once you get the third degree, that's the highest degree in masonry. And hey, you take that with a grain of salt, however you feel about it, either one way or the other. We're not going to argue about that today. But what I will say is we hinder the growth in masonry when we do stuff like that. You want to tell people that the third degree is the highest degree, and then when you come to your Royal Arch, your Royal and Select, and your KT, and you only got 4 members in there, you wonder why. Don't hinder somebody's desire to grow if they have that desire. Now, some people don't, but we often hinder ourselves teaching things one way and then expecting people to go the contrary way later on down the line. We're doing ourselves a disservice.
No, I agree with you, but I'm gonna challenge the 3 grand lecturers that are on this call. We have a responsibility because the Bible tells us who much is given, much is required. So we have an inherent responsibility to teach. Not to just correct. We're going to correct in lieu of teaching, but we need to teach masonry the right way. I know me personally, I'm going to attack the district deputy because that's the start. If they're all on the same page, the rest of the jurisdiction theoretically would be on the same page. But it's got to be like Dr. Lee said on Drumline, one band, one sound. And if we don't get to that mentality of one band, one sound, one band, 1,000 sounds, the conductor can't conduct a harmony. But it's up to the grand lecturers on this call to be those pillars.
I know what I'm thinking about.
What's that?
Like when we came into masonry, the indoctrination, like you say, giving up your left shoe or left to humble yourself. Well, if you think of masonry more or less like boot camp or like the military, or some type of service you went through an indoctrination process that breaks you down. But the lessons that organization or that insert whatever it is through the degrees is supposed to teach you to be the perfect person or the perfect soldier, the perfect man, the perfect, husband. Well, that's what masonry kind of does. Masonry, through its first degree, breaks you down, but the degree system is supposed to teach you valuable lessons throughout your life or throughout your Masonic experience to make you that perfect person. If you never go through the rest of these degrees to get the lesson, how can you call yourself a master of anything? Think about that. You have to go get the degrees, but if you constantly cut corners into your degrees, you will never have square work. The self-analysis for every person out there.
That's why the Mark Master's degree is so important, right? You had to get your stone inspected. Good work, true work, square work. When you came through the overseer, you had to get your work inspected. And if your work was faulty, as we found out, some of them one was, he got rejected because he tried to pass somebody else's work off for his own. These lessons are important. Don't forget about these lessons, but that Mark Master's degree is huge. It is huge. I call it the end of the apprentice degree of the Yorkite because it sets the tone. And then you notice when we were talking about Royal Select today, you came dressed as what? A fellow craft. It went right back because those degrees are conjoined. Royal Master and Mark Master degree are back to back. They don't stop, right? These lessons don't stop. Good work, true work, square work, but you got to present your stuff on the 6th hour, the 6th day of the week, which is high noon. We know the junior warden represents that pillar. We got paid our wages for the second level fellow crafts in Matthew 20. I'm only telling you what the Bible says. Y'all can be mad at me, but I'm just telling you what the Bible says. Y'all can have attitude with me all you want to, bro. No. Be mad at the Bible. The Bible tells us this.
And that's supposed to be our ruling guide, correct?
It's supposed to be. The 21st landmarks say that. At least that's what I can remember it saying. I'm getting a little older, so memory kind of slipped me some, but I remember the 21st landmark telling us about the value of sacred law to be in our ruling guide. Also when I entered the apprentice charge. So, again, to whom much is given, much is required. Brothers on this call, we've been given a lot. Now we're all required to go back and give that information. My senior deacon in Japan he told all of us, meet one, greet one, teach one. And I've never forgot that lesson. Never. But I'm also humble enough to learn. That's key. And I had to go through I had to eat some humble pie here last couple of years, previous 2 years. I had to eat some humble pie. It's hard to get fired and be embarrassed. If you ain't got fired yet in masonry or any job or any situation, it's embarrassing. To be honest with you, I'm being a little vulnerable. It's embarrassing. But you know what? You learn from it. What do you learn from it? And how do you apply that next time? That's the key. Learn from your mistakes. I had to. I'm living proof. I'm sitting right here in front of you. I told you this lecture came from my triangle was broken. So I literally wrote a book about the broken triangle and how I felt. And even in the foreword, in the prologue, I talked about that specifically, that my triangle was broken and I was in a bad headspace. And Garland can tell you, Burley can tell you, I was almost done with masonry. About 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, I was almost done with masonry. Done. Like, aprons off, burn everything, I was done. But it was brothers like that kept me going. I called Brom too. And brothers kept going. So we gotta help each other the point I'm trying to make. Because it ain't always peaches and cream and Burger King hats, right? And it ain't always rosy. It gets rough. Remember those terrains get a little rough. And as Brom was saying earlier, we gotta stoop low. We gotta definitely stoop low, right? Humble ourselves. Because that was the meaning of that. When you came in and Mark Master's degree stooping low, wasn't to humiliate you, it was to humble you. Because you're standing tall and proud but you had to stoop low to come in and be humble to now get that information and then go earn those wages because you got paid those wages previously and then you had to earn them in the Mark Master's degree. So, again, who else, brothers? We got a few more minutes. This has been definitely an insightful conversation. I'm gonna give you guys a few things today when we send out the transcripts after I clean up the video. I'm gonna send everybody and Garland, a few people know about this, that 2-year masturbation plan. Feel free to use it in your jurisdictions if you like. I just think it's a good strategic plan for master masons before they even become master masons, all the way to the time that they're raised, to give them context on masonry, because that's where we got to start, right? We have to start back in the end of the apprentice degree, profanes, and then we got to build masons from the ground up. And then we got to sustain that building and then keep that one battle rhythm on how we're progressing. But we need to move in the same direction, just like the Israelites did, right? They moved in the same direction. We got to move in the same direction. So, who else, brothers? Got a couple more minutes.
I heard that brother talking about, like it says, the highest degree in masonry is the 3rd degree. And that is true. That is true. There is no higher degrees than 3 degrees. But what I tell brothers when I'm introducing them into the Royal Arch, I said, if you remember your degrees in the Blue House, you said that I might obtain the master's word, traveling foreign countries, work and receive master wages. That's the key word, that I might. How do you see that, Dr. Brown? Because that word might, that means that you get it.
Yeah, that's uncertainty. That's uncertainty all day, every day, twice on Sunday.
Right.
That's just the way I see it.
Right.
Yeah.
I have to say this, and it's no secret to anybody on this call. The 3rd degree is the 3rd degree, and truly it is the highest degree. But you also have to remember you got the substitute for the Master Mason's word. And
Right.
within itself to give you incentive to seek the true Master's word.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no place where you can get that. So even though it may be the top, obviously there's missing pieces that you need to find. It's like a puzzle you have to put together.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to search for that additional light, because at the time you become a Master Mason, you travel with a dead man's word.
Yeah, you got a substitute. You're an assistant pimp. That's what they say. You're an assistant pimp. So let me ask you guys this. And let me ask you this. Where is the 3rd degree in the Bible? I'll wait. Where's the 3rd degree located in the Bible? And there's a reason why I'm asking this question, by the way. Who said that? Who said it's not? Who said it's not?
And our priest.
Clarence, it is not. Every other degree can be traced biblically except the 3rd degree. The 3rd degree. The 3rd degree is a made-up degree. But we're putting all this emphasis on the 3rd degree. What did we just get done talking about? The Fellowcraft degree. In the 14th century, during the guild basis, if you read, I forget, Blood In, Blood Out. I can't think of the name of the book right now. But in the 14th century, business was conducted in the 1st and 2nd degree. The 3rd degree was made up to satisfy whoever, and we just kept it going. But you can't trace the 3rd degree biblically. So how can we put emphasis on something we can't even trace biblically? That's what makes you, that's cool.
That's what makes you a Mason, is the 3rd degree. Even though every degree after that, you probably a Fellowcraft without a good 7 more degree.
Yeah, but what's crazy is you're a brother when you get initiated as an entered apprentice.
Yeah, we don't teach that though.
We don't teach that, but let's just think about, you are now in the fraternity. You have one tie to the fraternity, but you're now in the fraternity.
Hey, Dr. Ron,
here for the Greeks that's on here, you a Neo. I mean, it is what it is. Go
Dr.
ahead, Moore. Yes, sir.
I have to leave y'all now because King Science Grand Chapter, they get ready to go into their lecture.
Okay.
So, I don't want to get a marks against me being the Right Excellent Grand Scribe.
So do your thing. We got a Right Excellent Grand Scribe on here. We got a Deputy Grand High Priest on here. We get it. We get it, man.
No long, and I will see you on the next journey.
Yes, sir. We'll see you next month, but we kick it off. But yeah, man, it's real out here. We got another couple more minutes, man. But anybody feel free to chime in, and then we're gonna wrap this up for the day. We got some guys on here too that I know they don't talk publicly. A couple guys that mentor me specifically, but some of the stuff that they tell me is so profound, man. I'm just gonna just put him out there. I know he not a big talker, but a big action person. Mr. Cooks, man, if you ever go to Howard Cook's house, he has a Masonic encyclopedia. Let me tell you this. This brother has a Masonic encyclopedia from A through Z. I've never seen nothing like that in my whole life. Yeah, go ahead.
Is it about Wade or Mackey?
You got to ask him. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've seen it, but he has literally a room full of books. So the point I'm trying to make here is he reads and understands masonry at a deeper level, and these are the type of brothers that we need to latch on to and really glean from, and then we need to take that knowledge and push that knowledge forward. So utilizing a brother like Mr. Cooks' his information, his knowledge base, and using this platform, how far can we go? Like Berger was saying, if we mix the two. That's the concluding thought for today. Think about how far we can go, because we got the young brothers saying the old brothers this and the old brothers saying young brothers that. But if we link those things together, Lord have mercy, how far could we really, really, really go in masonry? We can really go far and bring a lot of brothers along the right way. You know what I'm saying? So.
And I wouldn't be myself if I didn't send you some books. So I have a couple of they're not really old books, but I think I have the monitor I had a Royal and Select monitor by Mackey, and I got a Royal and Select monitor by Jackson Chase, I think, digitally. So I will send those to you so you can send those out among the craft for the enlightenment of those present.
Absolutely. You guys noticed from months back when Steve would send me stuff, I put it in the transcripts and the email so everybody get it. We just need to share that knowledge. And whoever don't get it, whoever you know is not on this call, again, I'm going to challenge all of you, two things. Look at the YouTube channel, like it and subscribe it, and forward that information on to somebody else. And the second thing is pull somebody on this call with you next month. That's the challenge to everybody on this call. Pull one brother on this call with you next month. And it don't matter if they're in the Blue House. We want everybody on this call. Knowledge is obtained by degrees. Wisdom dwells in contemplation. And there we must seek her. So let's seek her every month. Let's bring the brothers along, right? And let's just make this thing grow and grow and grow so we can keep our brothers well informed. All right? So blessings to everybody, man. Ain't gonna take up no more time on your Sunday. I appreciate everybody being flexible. We'll go back to the normal time next month, 2 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. I'll send out reminders like I always do. Again, send out all the transcripts to include today's lecture for the brothers that came on late. Congrats for Alpha Way.
I'm trying.
Go ahead. You good?
And you guys did a great job. Just the way you put it down. Plus, you starting something new with the YouTube and everything else. So I'll just give you props on, just the success. You guys this is what masonry needs. Enlivening the York Rite even more so. So, yeah, that's what I was doing, my brother.
I appreciate it. All right, brothers. Hey, love all of y'all, man. I really appreciate the quorum on here today, the conversation. Brum, you had something? Are you just raising your hand, giving a shout out?
Yeah,
Town stuff.
I see my brother wearing the badge and the uniform. We appreciate your service, my brother.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Again, you guys inspire us to do more. And as long as you guys, we keep inspiring each other, we're gonna use this platform, and we're really gonna do a lot. And I think Bertha and I both can honestly say we have high visions for this platform to go global. We want this platform to be global. So our brothers all around the world can glean from this information. Even if they don't do it when we're live, they can do it at their own leisure. But knowledge is still knowledge, whether it's historical knowledge or present knowledge. So, all right, brothers, be safe. Hey, keep watching your football games. Unless you're Sugar Booty, I'll talk to you soon. Y'all be blessed, man. I'll leave the forum open if anybody just want to just stay on and just hum up a little bit.